In the next few minutes, I am going to expose 6 bread brands sitting in your kitchen right now that are hiding some seriously questionable ingredients behind their trusted labels. We found genetically modified soya, chemical preservatives linked to behavioral problems in children, and companies caught red-handed fixing prices and robbing South African families blind. What you're about to discover might completely change your next trip to ShopRite, Pick n Pay, or Checkers. But here is the good news. Stay until the end, because I will reveal the bread brands and bakeries that actually deserve your hard-earned rands. These are the ones using real ingredients, traditional methods, and zero chemical shortcuts. Let us crack open the truth about what is really in that loaf on your kitchen counter. Number 1. Sunbake. Starting at number 1, Sunbake might seem like the affordable family choice, but what you save in rands, you pay for quality. This Foodcorp brand was a confirmed member of the bread cartel that ripped off South African consumers for over a decade. In 2009, Foodcorp paid a 45 million rand fine after admitting to fixing bread prices alongside the other major players. They literally sat in secret meetings at churches, stadiums, and hotels, agreeing to raise prices by 30 to 35 cents per loaf at the same time. And who suffered? The poorest South Africans who depend on bread as a staple food. But it gets worse. Independent testing by the African Center for Biosafety found Sunbake white bread contained over 20% genetically modified soya content. That is genetically modified soya flour used as a cheap filler and dough improver that never appears clearly on the label. The soya used in South African bread is almost entirely Monsanto's Roundup Ready variety, meaning it has been engineered to survive being drenched in glyphosate herbicide. And traces of that herbicide end up in your bread. Sunbake's ingredient list includes calcium propionate, a preservative that studies have linked to irritability, restlessness, and attention problems in children. A study in 2002 in the Journal of Pediatric Child Health found that removing calcium propionate from children's diets resulted in significant improvements in behavior. Yet this chemical sits in every loaf of Sunbake, keeping it shelf-stable while potentially affecting your child's concentration at school. The bread also contains emulsifiers like sodium stearoyl lactylate, which recent research published in Frontiers in Microbiology found disrupts gut bacteria at concentrations 10 times lower than what regulators consider safe. This is not health food. It is industrial product dressed up as daily bread. Number 2. Pick n Pay white bread. You might think a major retailer's house brand would maintain higher standards. Apparently not. Pick n Pay white bread tested at nearly 43% genetically modified soya content, according to analysis by the African Center for Biosafety, making it one of the most contaminated breads on South African shelves. Despite the Consumer Protection Act requiring genetically modified organism labeling for products containing 5% or more genetically modified content, Pick n Pay's bread carried no such warning. When confronted, Pick n Pay said their bread contained less than 0.5% soya and therefore did not require a label. But even if the soya component is small, when that soya is over 90% genetically modified, the deception is real. You are eating genetically modified ingredients without being told. The bread includes the usual suspects: calcium propionate preservative, chemical emulsifiers, and refined white flour stripped of the wheat germ and bran that contain actual nutrition. What is left is basically fast-digesting starch that spikes your blood sugar and leaves you hungry again within hours. Pick n Pay positions itself as caring about South African families, but their house brand bread tells a different story. It is produced to hit a price point, not a quality standard. When a retailer sources from the cheapest possible suppliers and adds preservatives to extend shelf life indefinitely, the customer's health is not part of the equation. Number 3. Checkers white bread. Claiming the number 3 spot, Checkers white bread holds the dubious distinction of testing at over 91% GMO soya content. That is not a typo. 91%. The highest of any bread tested in South Africa. Yet when you pick up that loaf at Checkers, there is no GMO label warning you about what is inside. Checkers defended this by claiming their bread only contains about 0.5% soya flour. But that defense misses the point entirely. Consumers have a right to know if they are eating genetically modified ingredients, regardless of the quantity. The African Center for Biosafety described the situation perfectly. Consumers are being kept utterly in the dark. Like other mass-market breads, Checkers relies on chemical dough conditioners to achieve that soft, fluffy texture. Traditional bread uses time and fermentation. Industrial bread uses chemistry. Emulsifiers like DATEM, which stands for diacetyl tartaric acid esters of mono and diglycerides, help create volume and softness without the slow proving that real bread requires. Recent research in the journal Microbiome found that DATEM significantly decreased beneficial Faecalibacterium bacteria, known for their anti-inflammatory properties. The preservative calcium propionate extends shelf life, but may come at a cost to your gut health. Studies show it can increase inflammatory markers in the body and affect the balance of bacteria in your digestive system. Your body was not designed to process these industrial additives daily. Yet millions of South African families do exactly that, trusting that what is on the shelf is safe simply because it is legal. Number 4. Sasko. At number 4, Sasko's story is particularly troubling because this Pioneer Foods brand was the last holdout in the bread cartel scandal. While Tiger Brands and Premier Foods eventually cooperated with the Competition Commission, Pioneer Foods chose to fight the case. They lost. In 2010, the Competition Tribunal imposed the maximum penalty of 195 million rand on Pioneer Foods for their role in fixing bread prices. The tribunal found that Sasko participated in secret meetings where competitors agreed to raise prices simultaneously. They divided up markets and agreed not to supply new distributors, crushing competition from smaller bakeries. The tribunal specifically noted that the poorest South Africans paid more for their bread because of this collusion. Small bakeries closed, jobs were lost, and Pioneer Foods' own manager was found to have lied to the tribunal during proceedings. Ironically, Sasko was the only brand to carry a GMO label on their bread saying produced using genetic modification, yet tests showed the actual GM content was so low it was unquantifiable. So the one brand that bothered to label was not even the worst offender. Meanwhile, the brands with genuinely high GM content said nothing. But here is what really sets Sasko apart in the wrong way. They were the last major bakery still using azodicarbonamide, known as ADA, a chemical dough conditioner also used to make yoga mats and shoe soles. ADA is banned in the UK, Australia, and most of Europe because it breaks down during baking into compounds linked to respiratory issues and potential carcinogenic effects. Sasko only committed to phasing out ADA after public pressure in 2014. The fact that they were still using a yoga mat chemical in bread while European countries had banned it years earlier tells you everything about their priorities. Coming in at number 5, Blue Ribbon markets itself with that slogan about bringing South Africans together since 1882. But what they do not mention is how they brought bread producers together to fix prices and cheat consumers. Premier Foods, which owns Blue Ribbon, was actually the company that blew the whistle on the cartel in 2007. They sought leniency from prosecution in exchange for exposing the conspiracy. While that cooperation earned them immunity, it also confirmed they were active participants in one of South Africa's worst consumer ripoffs. Blue Ribbon white bread tested at nearly 65% genetically modified soya content, the highest of any branded bread. Yet no genetically modified label appeared on the packaging. The company relied on the same excuse as everyone else, that the soya component is too small to require labeling. But this technicality ignores the fundamental right of consumers to know what they are eating. The bread contains the standard industrial cocktail. Calcium propionate preservative has been linked to behavioral issues in children and to potential gut inflammation. Emulsifiers that studies show can disrupt your microbiome at surprisingly low concentrations. Refined flour with the nutritious parts of the wheat stripped away, and synthetic vitamins added back in a process called fortification, which does not come close to replacing what was lost. Blue Ribbon's website proudly states flour, water, yeast, the three simple things that make a loaf of bread. If only that were actually true. The real ingredient list includes far more than 3 items. That marketing line is designed to create an illusion of simplicity, while the actual product is anything but. Number 6. Albany. Taking the number 6 spot as the absolute worst bread you can buy, Albany dominates South African shelves as the country's most popular bread brand. Tiger Brands, Albany's parent company, controls a massive portion of the bread market. They have used that power in deeply problematic ways. In 2007, Tiger Brands paid a 99 million rand fine after admitting to participating in the bread cartel. The Competition Commission found that Tiger, Premier, Pioneer, and Foodcorp controlled over 90% of the wheat flour market and used secret meetings and phone calls to coordinate price increases. The fine represented only 5.7% of Tiger Brands' bread sales that year. The maximum would have been 10%. Critics, including the South African National Consumer Union, called the fine too lenient, arguing that executives should have faced criminal charges. In 2018, the company's Enterprise Foods division was linked to the listeriosis outbreak that killed over 180 South Africans. While not directly related to Albany bread, it revealed a corporate culture where food safety took a backseat to profits. Albany Superior white bread tested at over 23% genetically modified soya content, with no labeling to inform consumers. The bread contains calcium propionate, emulsifiers, including sodium stearoyl lactylate, and the same refined flour base as every other industrial loaf. Research published in Frontiers in Microbiology found that sodium stearoyl lactylate, at concentrations 10 times lower than regulatory limits, significantly inhibited beneficial gut bacteria families, including Clostridiaceae, Lactospiraceae, and Ruminococcaceae. These bacteria produce butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that is essential for gut health and for reducing inflammation. Albany's market dominance means millions of South Africans consume these additives daily, often multiple times per day, without any idea of the potential consequences. When you are the biggest bread brand in the country, your ingredient choices affect public health on a massive scale. Albany has consistently chosen shelf stability and profit margins over genuine nutrition. Now that we have cleared out the rubbish, let us talk about the brands that actually deserve space in your bread bin. These options prioritize real ingredients and traditional methods, and they value transparency over chemical shortcuts. Woolworth's Fresh Baked range. Their in-store bakery breads are made fresh daily with no added preservatives. The ingredient list is genuinely short. Responsibly sourced flour, water, and yeast. Their sourdough and artisan loaves use slow-proving methods that develop flavor naturally. Yes, it costs more, but you're paying for real bread made by actual bakers, not an industrial product engineered for infinite shelf life. Artisan sourdough bakeries. Across South Africa, small bakeries are returning to traditional methods. In Johannesburg, Linden Loaves uses natural fermentation for 12 hours before baking in a wood-fired oven. Mother Doke in Cape Town explicitly states they add no yeast, enzymes, flour improvers, preservatives, or industrial compounds. Freddy's Bread makes spelt sourdough with stone-milled flour, no chemicals, no enzymes, no preservatives. These bakeries prove bread can be made with 4 ingredients: flour, water, salt, and thyme. Need Bakery. With locations across Cape Town and a presence in various restaurants and cafes, Need uses traditional sourdough methods and slow overnight cold fermentation. Their breads contain actual ingredients you can pronounce, and they are transparent about their methods. Bake your own. The ultimate control over what goes into your bread. A basic loaf requires flour, water, salt, and yeast. Nothing else. Once you taste real bread made with 4 ingredients, you will understand why industrial bread needs so many chemicals to pretend to be food. There you have it. 6 bread brands hiding genetically modified soya, chemical preservatives, and cartel histories behind trusted labels, plus alternatives that actually honor what bread should be. Before your next shopping trip, remember this: read the ingredient list. If it contains calcium propionate, sodium stearoyl lactylate, or multiple emulsifiers you cannot pronounce, put it back. Choose bakeries that use traditional fermentation, and consider paying a bit more for bread that is actually food rather than an industrial product. If this changed how you think about bread, please like the video, drop a comment telling me which brand shocked you most, and share this with everyone who deserves to know what they are feeding their families. Subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss content exposing the truth about what is in your food. Until next time, eat wisely.